You know, there are real consequences to stupidity, and the entire world now is subject to the consequences of the stupidity of the people who voted for Donald Trump. And there's really no other word for it but stupidity. We have now the Secretary General of NATO warning member nations that they need to prepare for war, that the world is increasingly dangerous, and that the likelihood of war with Russia has dramatically increased, and that NATO member nations need to increase the amount of money they are increasing the percentage of their GDP that they spend on their militaries. Now, that's a good thing. I wish they had been spending more on their military up to this point, but that's the warning that's going out now, that they need to prepare for war and spend more money on their military. Now, why do you think he would say this? Why now? Because Donald Trump is taking office next month. That's why. And he didn't say it specifically because he doesn't want to antagonize Trump, but that's the reason. Because they all know what we know and what the morons who voted for Donald Trump should have known. And that is, Donald Trump is basically the sock puppet of Vladimir Putin. Trump is going to do his bidding. And one thing he's going to do is try to help Russia achieve victory over Ukraine. And whatever that victory immediately looks like, it'll be spun as some sort of ceasefire agreement, and Donald Trump is the great peacemaker. But it will be no such thing. It will be a victory of some degree for Russia, but it won't be the end. Russia will come back in to take over the rest of the country at some point later, if he agrees to any sort of deal to begin with. But the larger point is, once he is done in Ukraine, he is going to train his sights on other European nations, NATO member nations. And then we're really going to be staring down the barrel of World War III. That is what the election of Donald Trump has made much more likely. And it's ironic that these fools, you know, how many times did you hear during the campaign from these idiot Trump cultists say, oh, there were no wars under Donald Trump? You morons have just made World War III so much more likely, because that is the consequence of caving to Vladimir Putin. And the Secretary General of NATO understands it. The other NATO countries understand it. And so now that the American people were so stupid as to elect Donald Trump, now NATO is going to be preparing for war that I hope isn't coming, but very well may be, because of the stupidity of the American people. Stupidity has consequences, and now the world is going to suffer those consequences.